This is a group of Haitian miners. They worked for days in a row. Dozens of bags of mineral soil and only 0.2 grams. The gold dealers paid €5 for this. Can't imagine. Just €3 is their income for 4 days of hard work. It's only a few cents a day. Even so, they still don't have enough to eat. More than half of the Haitian people, only one can be eaten. A mud cake made from a mixture of soil and water. Too much of this dirt can stick to the intestines. Makes you bloated to death. Haitians are certainly aware of the dangers, but they had no choice. Welcome to the documentary world. In fact, this difficult journey, taking you to the country closest to hell on earth. Republic of Haiti. It's an island country in the northern Caribbean Sea. It shares a small island with Dominica to the east. Dominica is the Caribbean Sea, the most famous tourist destination. 5 million tourists visit each year. Per capita annual income is as high as $63,000. Haiti to the west is a different story. It is one of the poorest countries on earth. Haiti as a whole has a population of about 11 million. More than 3/4 of Haitians live on less than $1 a day. The lack of money corresponds to the lack of materials. Only 39% of Haitian homes have electricity. 30% of households have running water. The remaining 70% depend on rain and well water. Ability to live. As of 1804, the first nation to be freed from slavery, Haitians still have hope for life to move forward. That hope is gold. The Lac gold mine in northwestern Haiti, no different from the surrounding villages, but its ground was already riddled with holes. Tilt a large piece of wood in place. A pulley hook is attached for carrying goods. Then put a ladder next to it. A simple digging device was thus completed. In search of more gold, workers at WM go to work and leave at midnight, spend most of the day digging in the tunnels. As they climb the ladder of wealth 20 meters down, to the bottom of the well, a hole that can only fit at the height of your stomach come into view. This tiny tunnel is a gold mine. Crawl deeper and deeper, the tunnels will get narrower. The pickaxe in the hands of the workers dug every time. Wealth and death will be one step closer to them. The whole tunnel has no support. The underground temperature is over 60 degrees, except for the pickaxe and the dirt bag. Workers don't have any other, something you can use in a time of danger. Local person, this way of working is like digging your own grave. The tunnel is not ventilated and there is no air circulation. Workers don't have masks either. All around the smoke and dust in the workers as they work get into their lungs like hell. Every 2 hours, workers need to climb to the ground, get some fresh air, along with a bag of dirt containing gold. The owner of the mine also officially paid the workers with books. And at the Recovi gold mine, women work no less intensely than men. Their feet are in the river all day. The waist should also be bent for a long time to escape the excess mineral soil, find gold in it. It's late afternoon after school. The children of the family will also participate in the labor, except for a meal break. They hardly have any free time. The workers are happiest. It's the moment the gold is found, but all they could find was sand and gravel, and of poor purity. This piece of gold wrapped in cloth. It is the harvest of 4 days' work for women. But the problem is that it's not being dried. There's a lot of dust mixed in. After being processed by the acquisition staff, a total of 0.2 grams of gold, the buyer is willing to pay €5. But women are clearly at this price, not satisfied. They currently get 0.2 grams of gold every 4 days. This is also the average rate at which local women pan for gold. Let's go with this efficiency. It takes a man at least 60 years to get a kilo of gold. But here's the irony. You can say these workers aren't hardworking, but they cannot escape poverty. For the Haitians, their hope is another kind of gold. But this gold is white. Women work with their hands in the salt pans, scrape the heavy metal-rich kosher salt from the water, because this job is too hard. As a result, there are few local men willing to work, and most of all, these workers don't understand. Even truck drivers don't want to come here. Many drivers refuse to carry their salt. In this worker's opinion, he thought the salt would crush the car. But here's the real reason. The salt carriage of a normal truck will be corroded by acid and alkali, causing the iron to rust through. And even if it doesn't ship, it rusts if you don't wash your car. The only way they can spread right now, it was carried to the city on a donkey, but this method is inefficient. For transportation time costs, it takes a donkey at least 2 days to walk to the city. The round trip is 4 days. For transportation efficiency, a ton of salt can bring them 24 euros. Donkeys, on the other hand, have a very limited capacity to carry a complete industrial chain. Now we will look away from the mountain village, focus on the underwater capital Port-au-Prince. The city has experienced 4 major earthquakes in the last round by years. There's also the devastation of intense hurricanes and war. The devastation of the Rappi gold mine. It's an injury that comes from the surface, so Port-au-Prince is riddled with holes. It is a social disease from the inside out. Although the name Port-au-Prince sounds fancy, but the history behind it, the source is a heavy yoke. A former ship from France, the Dolphin, drove into this land. Later generations named it after the ship. They named it Port-au-Prince. The official language of Haiti is French, but now, some people still speak a Creole language. It is a mixture of French and African dialects. It's the product of the centuries of colonization. The man who speaks Creole, maintenance captain for a private transportation company. State-owned transport companies are rare in Haiti. Almost all are private contracts. A maintenance captain will both work on the vehicle at the station, also follow the vehicle, ensure stable operation on the road. This transport you see here, it wasn't converted from a truck. It's an old, used American school bus. This Type C school bus safety factor, it is rated in the United States. The degree of protection structure is equal to that of military vehicles. It is also known as the safest vehicle in the United States. But this retrofitted obsolete car, over 1 million miles in the hands of Haitians. The car today, whether it will ever be as safe as before, no one knows for sure. Although this converted school bus looks a lot like a truck, but the driver is adamant. They refuse to carry coal or goats. The only cargo carried was the customer's luggage. So in the driver's mind, get in their car, it will be a luxurious and comfortable journey. But is this really the case? Haiti currently has a total of 4,000 mi of road network, but 90% of it is sand and dirt. So getting a seat is very important. If you don't get a seat like they did, that means you have to stand like this for 8 hours before you reach your destination. Well, that would have to be a good one. Before leaving the city, the front driver wasn't going very fast. This is because there are few traffic lights on the streets. Keep a steady speed and honk your horn. It's the only way to avoid an accident. Port-au-Prince as the starting point out of the city. The car will travel 15 kilometers north to go Knives. Fortunately, this is a section of asphalt in good condition, and thence to the final destination, Mahler St. Nicholas bus km away. It is a line made entirely of dirt, a broken road of pebbles and sand. Halfway down the road, the bay of Gonavi on the left side of the bus is full of sea. The light is sparkling. If you're full at home, looking at my phone with the air conditioner, you'd think the bay was beautiful. But if you live there, hungry every day to make a living, for such of you, you will also feel no time to appreciate. There are no railways under the sea to the north of the island. Bus fares are also rising rapidly year by year. A single ticket for such a trip costs 2 euros. It costs the equivalent of half a month's salary per person. Merely, some people will choose to ride on top of the car in the hot sun because it's half the price. Comfort and safety were cut in half. There are many rough potholes in this section of the road. How bumpy the car is, enough to make a grown man dizzy. The worst part is that the slope is too steep in some places. The underpowered bus simply can't climb. In this case, passengers should get off the bus and wait for the crossing. But to get off is to give up your seat. So no one wants to move their ass. In fact, for this road is not smooth. Motorcycles are also an economical way to travel, but the tire has to hold the weight of 3 adults. At the same time, there are terrible road conditions. A flat tire is almost a motorcycle accident. A regular meal on the road. The young man pumped with a manual air cylinder for 20 minutes, but it's still a drop in the bucket. But luckily, repair shop specializing in tire repair often appear on the roadside. This makeshift repair shop with only a few boards for shade. It was opened by an orphan after the 2010 earthquake. He has an original local methods of repairing an inner tube helped a lot of people with flat tires on this road. In fact, his method is based on our complement method. First, he'll rub the rubber on the inner tube with the wrong knife. Make it stick later. The rubber sticks more firmly to each other. Therewith, put the broken inner tube on the machine he invented. These rubber blocks, they melt and stick together in the heat. The young man who invented it, proud of his creation. Glue is expensive and of poor quality in this place, and his device didn't just replace glue. And because he's willing to share his ideas with others, let other young people make money in this way. Of course you know this method. Young people who can practice to make money are very lucky. Most unlucky young people, they still rely on begging for money from cars along the way. Whenever they see a car, they keep running. Drivers usually slow down to avoid an accident, and the kind driver would persuade them to take their hands back. But getting run over by a car for begging, it still happens a lot. Most of these young people's parents are unemployed. Even the most basic food and clothing is a problem. So in order to stay alive, they can only eat a kind of clay biscuit. It is a kind of yellow earth and water as the main ingredients of the food. After mixing and filtering the soil and water, people will still go there, add some butter and salt to taste. The mud is then spread out on the ground, bask in the sun. When the water inside evaporates, this cookie-like food is finished. But the feeling of fullness is an illusion. It can't be digested, only trick the stomach. When a large amount of mud accumulates and sticks to the body, will not be able to excrete. It will eventually cause necrosis and ulceration of the stomach, leading to bloating. Moreover, the bacterial parasites that remain in the soil are just as deadly, according to a report by the United Nations. Because food is scarce for a long time to eat mud cakes, 40% of Haitian children are malnourished. The anemia rate was as high as 59%. Diarrhea from eating mud cake, and 20% of those killed. Even more desperate, the whole of Haiti has more than half the population. He had to eat bread every day to satisfy his hunger. Haitians certainly know the dangers of this stuff, but there's really nothing they can do. Such food, at least it's more filling than root turf. But some people can't even afford mud cakes. Because even this kind of food, it is also a commodity with a clear price tag. Haiti spends $1 per person per day. The price of a mud cake has gone up to 10 cents. This is the harsh reality of Haiti. Everyone is chasing their dreams. The dream of most Haitians, just trying to stay alive. Let's turn to the beam again. Can trudge on the side again. If you say that before the bumpy road, just an appetizer, so now this road, it's a feast of torture. The sandy road turned into a gravel road. The path is as sharp as a razor. A stone is not careful. They get into the gap between the two. The treatment of the stone in the tire. The maintenance captain chose to stand in clean up with a hammer. But if you're familiar with cars, you should know. The way the maintenance captain was hammering in was dangerous. Do it right. The Dharma is supposed to hit the outside, because if you hit the tire with a rock, explosion, enough to kill everyone within a meter. There's more to come. Because of the original jack on this bus, it's been lost a long time. Later, it had been used instead of car jacks. In fact, even the captain wasn't sure. Can this car jack stand it? The weight of this bus. Despite the bumpy ride and the stoppage, complaints from passengers are few and far between, but they don't complain. It's getting used to it. This black lady, for over 5 times a month. Once it took 2 days to get to the destination. She'd been traveling this road since years ago. 10 years later, the situation is still the same. Haiti's terrible road condition was no accident. On the list of the most corrupt countries in the American continent, Haiti was always way ahead. New candidates are always at war with the people. They keep the money for themselves and do nothing for the people. Logically speaking, the United Nations should look after such small countries. You can see it in the pocket marked WFP, World Food Program, and gave aid to this country. Available on February 20, United Nations on Haiti. When starting a public video meeting, for the first time, the Chinese representative blamed the Republic of Haiti and called on the United Nations to avoid ineffective investments in Haiti. The main reason for this is corruption. Haiti was hit by a massive earthquake in 2010. The United Nations has allocated 8 billion in aid, yet there is 6 billion of it was corrupted by Haitian leaders. 7 years after the earthquake, there are still Haitian residents living in a makeshift tent. Although countries around the world have also sent relief quantities, but 90% of them never reach civilians. These resources are funneled to the black market in collusion with the government. They in turn sell it all to civilians at exorbitant prices. There are also evil forces involved in domestic corruption. Haitian officials have tried, but it has had little success. They hit a bunch of corrupt officials and they're gonna get another one right away. And the evil forces are even more difficult to eradicate. Because in a place the size of your hand, there are 76 armed criminal groups. Although since 1804, Haiti became the first independent country in the Americas. It's also in the Constitution, the first country to abolish slavery. But over 200 years ago, there was hardly any Ming army. Haiti's first ruler was named Jacques Dessalines. He originally made the state a republic, but he crowned himself emperor. Later, to restore the country's economy, Jacques forced everyone to work in the fields and let the army act as overseers. Those who disobey or are lazy will be put to death. His plans to govern the country have sparked a national outcry, so the first ruler of Haiti ended up at the hands of the people. In the long years that followed Haiti, rulers changed frequently, especially during the 20th century, 90 leaders in 100 years. Almost every year. But the nature of their prey has never changed. The Duvalier father and son with the face is the most typical example. The elder Duvalier won the election in 1957 for presidency. He is widely recognized as a savior by Haitians. He was born into a middle-class family in Haiti. He grew up studying medicine, hoping to help Haitians escape the ravages of infectious diseases. At the same time, he actively participates in social the slogan of equality for human rights. Fast forward to 1948. Duvalier SR, the Minister of Health, further expanding his good works throughout the country. He also had a respected name by then, Dr. Dan. After he became president in 1957, the old Duvalier changed his face. He was obsessed with wealth and power, to rule as a dictator, and controlled all of Haiti in a theocratic way. He began to promote a feudal voodoo doctrine, from president to high priest. At the same time, he carried the soul of Haiti's founding fathers and presided over the most brutal human sacrifices. And because of Haiti's high literacy rate, instead, the doctrine spread wildly among the lower classes. After controlling the faith, the old Duvalier, the next step is to control Haiti's economic lifeblood. The way he takes the people and rules the people, including then lay out trap, forcing businesses to hand over money in the name of fundraising. If they don't, they'll be locked up, tortured, and executed. Sell national lottery tickets and force civilians to buy them. Then the black box gives the friends and family a prize. 5 tons of Haitian blood is sold to the United States, leading to a large number of deaths from AIDS in Haiti. In neighboring Dominica, sign a contract for 60 million a head, promised to provide tens of thousands of workers a year. Official human trafficking. Duvalier is doing this on his own. Monopolized 90% of Haiti's wealth to protect the rule and eliminate one's own. He later founded the notorious Invasion Guard, Tamak Kud. The group is independent of the army. The president alone is responsible for all actions. Most of the members of the organization are local bullies, landlords. The work they need to do every day is to use cruel means to crush the old Duvalier's opponents. Until the fall of the Duvalier family, Tonton Macoute killed more than Roa civilians. In 1964, the elder Duvalier amended the constitution, granting himself the presidency for life. All political activities other than his are banned. He amended the constitution again in 1971. Minimum age limit to serve as president modified to 18 years old. This is because his son is small. Duvalier had just turned 19. In April of the same year, the old Duvalier, after witnessing the succession of their family's throne, the end of a life filled with evil. But the suffering of the people of Haiti is far from over. When little Duvalier came to power, even more than his father, every time a country comes to Haiti's aid, he would keep the money in his pocket, embezzle most of the money to improve people's lives. Like 1980, 20 million from the International Monetary Fund, he alone took 16 million. And with his acquiescence and protection, no member of his family has ever been more than that. His father-in-law will go to Mexico. The oil given to Haiti was resold, making sky-high profits out of it. As for other black industries such as human trafficking, it never stopped. During 15 years in office, the younger Duvalier amassed more than 900 million. However, the per capita daily income was just $100 million. Until 1986. The bloody brutality of the Duvalier family has finally been overthrown. But when the next leader takes office, it's still the same, still trying to get the best of the people. So Haiti is still in turmoil today. The lives of ordinary people are in dire straits. The streets were in chaos. Social security is zero. However, people of all ages still have to work. Because if you don't have money to live, you'll die. Rich people can die a little slower. This old man's job is to cut down wood. Carbonization is a form of physical labor. It's a little bit easier. He heaped up the fire what he had cut, put in some straw and dirt. Finally, light the fire until it is charred. The fruits of this labor would sell for about €1. Although the old man had been cutting trees for 6 years, but he is not optimistic about the prospect because he's not so sure himself. Will there be enough trees in the future? Could keep him in business? In fact, the old man was right to worry. Charcoal has always been the only material they use for cooking fires because there are no other resources. Plus, the charcoal workers cut down trees but don't plant them. Forest cover is declining rapidly. In 1960, about 60% of the seafloor was covered by forests. Today, only 2% remain. After packing 20 pounds of charcoal, the old man will walk back to the village in the heat of over 60 degrees. It was an easy ride at first, but when you've traveled some distance, the weight on the old man's back will feel like it has tripled. Relying on manpower is ultimately not an efficient approach, so most people don't move to the market on their own. It's waiting for the charcoal dealer with the truck to pick it up. Macri, a coal trader, is a regular visitor to the village. He takes the same route as the bus. They all have to go through a bed of rotten rock. At present, he cannot afford to buy a second car, so he had to get one truck to load as much as possible. More goods. If the loading job is done right, not only will the cargo not be piled too high to pose a risk, car bomb, it will also be reduced by a reasonable counterweight. Macri can carry side-by bags of coal per trip. For money, of course, their carts can pull food or people. For people who can't afford the high bus fares, take their van for less money. It's also a good choice, because there are too many dangerous accidents on the road. So before every trip, Macri will be in his room, perform a simple blessing ceremony. 90% of Haiti's population is Catholic and Protestant. But even though it's been a long time, the influence of voodoo doctrine in religion still no attenuation. In Macri, you know, a mystic of all religions. In the room where he prayed, Jesus and voodoo worship are in the same room. Even Barbie and mermaids are in the mix. He believes everything he wants, so there's always a spirit to protect him. No var can find him. Vision, please. No virgin man. Majam fair. After the blessing, Macri's van finally made its way. This time he carried for extra passengers, but this is 80 kilometers from the destination. It's definitely worth his blessing. This knife-edge road is an accident-prone road. Sounds like it's only 80 kilometers. A lot of times it's because you have to be safe all the time. It takes 2 days to get there. And this speed, that's about as fast as an average person would walk. On Macri and Sky's journey, see a swaggering animal and get out of the car. Be a daily meal, because their brakes are pretty much a showpiece. Road conditions did not allow them to stop in time. You almost always need a person to follow the car on the road. He's got work to do, which is to chase the animals away like we just did. You also need to keep an eye on the vehicle at all times, in order to find out if there is any. The stone that stuck the tire. Macri knows the tire problem is the deadliest. He needs €200 to change a tire, about 4 months of his salary. So he's going to be 200% focused on making sure nothing happens. Driving on such a rough road, Macri's drivers also have big complaints. He usually stays in first gear. We're going in second gear at best. Although that speed keeps the immediacy of the brakes, and in the way of brake, ride smoothness. But the pace of the drive always made him sleepy. The feeling of not being able to hurry is really dull. Except for all the dangers of the road, the canyon next door is also a truck driver, something to watch out for. The name Haiti also means land of mountains. The highest point is 2,600 meters above sea level. The canyon on either side of the narrow road, enough to engulf the drivers. The curve they took was almost impossible. One careless car could crash to the bottom of the canyon. This kind of terrain just happens to be everywhere. It is also common to encounter formation with passing vehicles, but there are rules in a situation like this. The party without the cargo must yield to the party carrying the cargo, but the lane is narrow. It's the best thing that could have happened. The name Haiti may sound cool, but hot weather is one of the local evils, especially if you're sitting on the roof. In intense heat of 45 degrees, bare like hands on a hot pot. There's no place to hide. It's not just the truck passengers. At the other end of this rough, bumpy road, the people in those buses are just as restless. In the carriage they crowded one another to defend. It also makes the already sultry air even more cloudy. And the people who are sitting are having a hard time, not to mention the ones who stand the whole way. They threw water bottles in protest and got into a fight with the maintenance captain. Now the air is thick again. There was this noisy argument. It's got everybody on their nerves. Good. The next rest stop is not far away. All those cool drinks and all that filling food finally let the restless heart calm down. Drive along. The bus finally arrived at its destination, Nicola. Everyone did a great job. Trip task. After 48 hours of rest, the bus will return to the capital, Port-au-Prince, day after year, running around like we just went through. And on the same path, coal trader Macri is far from the destination. 20 kilometers to go. Haiti's rainy season came late this year, but now it's just been hit by Macri and them. It was also Haiti's first rain in 9 months. Here's the thing to know. Haiti is on the American continent, one of the islands most affected by natural disasters. About 12 tropical storms pass through each year. No place was spared. And this number. And that's not even counting storms and hurricanes. As long as it rains, the dirt roads they drive on become more difficult to drive. The car could easily slip and roll over. Tires can also easily get stuck in the mud. And on the last leg of the journey to the destination, Macri's van is about to face such a test. Fortunately, things went well. His car has enough power, crossing the southernmost stretch of road. Maybe his prayers have paid off. In short, he reached his destination successfully at last. Recall Haiti's declaration of independence from Ibalinsa to the present from the mouth of a slave, that we had defeated Napoleon. One of the greatest revolutions in the Americas had succeeded. He served as the world's first black republic, proudly at the forefront of liberation. But the price of being no is also obvious. They have no precedent or experience in running a country, can only find their own step by step across the river. But this groping is also a failure. Fade the war of your first independence. Haiti since independence, it has nothing to do with giving happiness. The internal government is full of corruption. The vast number of impoverished small farmers scattered and a very small number of military and political personnel lay hands on. Its GDP per capita in the 50 years countries that are not growing. And for the last 2 centuries, the country with the most military coups. People are talking about Haiti today. I can't say anything positive about him. Only one sentence to itself to summarize the current state of the land. From the independence of the Caribbean island rich, Spain is by far the poorest and most backward country. The starting point of the country's revolution did not create a modern power. It created an empty modern standard, a country that failed in every way. But even Haiti is local. Haiti was known as the island of hell. When we turn the magnifying glass down, keep your eyes on the people of Haiti. We saw one, too, incredible tenacity. In the distant future, can people live and work under the sea? Life expectancy can get what you want. Whether the country can break the century-old deadlock, embark on a development path with American characteristics, let us as viewers wait and see. But because I am famous, put your dear. There's a flame, don't put you no past me, you fucking to compete. Don't let no deal know I don't put family, I do to be. Because I'm with you, I do to me Pablo dress. I'm blinding when I know the message that's a fever joke. But you must think I'm a goddamn I ain't fighting for. I do that man, I'm fucking to let. You know about someone. Is there any guarantee of safety in Haiti? Indeed, Haiti had been in constant turmoil in recent years. Governments come and go. Gang violence is rampant, plus earthquakes, hurricanes, famines. Make it the first Latin American country was devastated and its people were left destitute. Today Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the world. It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. More than 90% of the population below the poverty line. And the refugees who were sent back, survival is not guaranteed. See no hope. That's it for today's World and Truth documentary program. In the future, I will share more about world culture, explore the forgotten corners of the world with you,